Hello everyone, in the last video we saw how to create custom filter and group by in Odoo 18. In today's video we are going to create Kanban view in Odoo 18. But what do I mean by Kanban view in Odoo 18? Well, if I go to the source module, at the very top right corner you are seeing that there are some options. The already selected option is for the list view that we are currently seeing in here. And besides that, there is the Kanban view option. If we click on this view, then this is the Kanban view. In this view, all the records have a shape like a card. Okay, if I want to clarify more, then I want to create this exact thing, this card-like thing. Okay, so let's start doing that. For that, go to our views.xml file and add a comment for our Kanban view. Kanban view of student.student model. Let's start the comment and end the comment. Let's format this a little bit. Well, now inside this, let's start creating our first Kanban view. So as this is a view, we have to create this view using the record tag. Well, use the record tag here, and we need to pass an unique ID like the other views. A student underscore view underscore Kanban, and we have to refer the ir.ui.view model, which is a built-in model in Odoo. So we have to refer this model as we are going to create a view. Now let's mention the name of this view. Name student Kanban view. Now let's mention the name of the model for which we are going to create this Kanban view. So our model name is student.student. Now add that arc type of XML field, name arc, type XML. Inside this, we have to add the Kanban tag for creating this Kanban view. But at the very first stage, we have to mention the view type, view mode inside our action, as the previous views like list and form. Besides those, we have to add this Kanban view. Otherwise, our action will not find our Kanban view. Now, inside this, we have to add a special tag which is templates. Inside this templates tag, we have to add the T tag, inside which we have to pass a directive named T-name, and inside that T name directive we have to pass a value named Kanban-box. Now inside this we have to pass a div which will contain a class named OE_Kanban_card. Well, so this is the basic shape of our Kanban view. Now reload the server. When we create a view for the very first time, we need to reload our server, but for the later part we don't need to do that. Well, now upgrade our app, upgrade our student management app. Now if you see carefully, at the very top right corner we have two options. The already selected option is for our tree view, and the second one is, which is beside the list view, we have the Kanban view. Now if we click on this view, let's see what happens. See, we already got that cards. We already have achieved that shape, card shape, but we don't have any content inside these cards. So go to the view which I showed you at the very first of this video. We want to create this exact thing for our records. So if I explain one of these cards, then we have a parent container, which is this whole thing, which is a parent container. One thing to mention here, in our views, in our XML file, we can use any HTML tag. And more interestingly, in our XML file, Bootstrap is already there, is already activated. So we can use any Bootstrap class in our views also. Okay. Now go to that screenshot here. So this is our parent container. We already got our parent container, which is this card. Now inside this, we have to place these three things. This image, and then this details, which will contain name, ID, and date of birth. And the third content is this little badge. Okay. So now place them one by one. Place these contents one by one. First, we have to place this image. So go to our view. Inside this card, use the HTML image tag. As I already have said that we can use any HTML tag in our XML file. So let's use that image tag. And inside this, we have to use a TATT directive, TATT source directive. This TATT directive is built in Odoo. So what it does basically, this directive is used whenever we want to have some value dynamically. Okay. So inside this TATT source directive, we have to use a built-in function which is Kanban_image. Okay. Inside this, we have to pass three arguments. The first one is the model name, which is student.student in our case. Then, as a second argument, we have to pass image, and as the third argument, we have to pass the ID of each record of our table. But if we go to our model, we don't have any ID here. The ID field is by default generated by Odoo. But how can we get access to that ID field here? We don't have that field in our model. Well, Odoo provides us a special object in XML file, in Kanban view more specifically, and that is record, inside which we get access of all the fields of our model. Our customly created fields plus Odoo's created fields. Okay, so we can get access those fields using this record and add a dot, then the field name. But record.id only gives us the reference of that field, but we need the value of that field. For that, we have to use the raw_value attribute on this field. Okay, raw_value. Now this whole thing will give us the ID value for each record. Now after this, let's add a alt attribute for this image, just for clarification. A student image, Now we have got the image. So let's save it and refresh our page and let's see what happens. We got nothing, but why? We simply got nothing. Let's refresh again. Did we make any mistake here? Well, I did a mistake, which is we have to add this image tag inside a div. We have to add this image inside a div with a class named OE underscore Kanban, O underscore Kanban underscore image. O underscore Kanban underscore image. Inside this, we have to add this image. Okay, now let's save and see what happens. We're getting nothing, but why? What is the problem here? Well, I did make a huge mistake. This is a value, but we're passing this as a string here. So this is the mistake. I got it. Now remove this div first because this div has a special meaning. I'll clarify that thing later, but let's see if the image is getting shown or not. See, we have got those images. Okay, if I go here, then this is the first record and this is the image, this is the second record, this is the image, and then this is the third record and this is the image. But this image is quite ugly to see. If we go to our reference screenshot, this image is quite beautiful to look at. This has a certain width and height. So for that, to achieve that shape, we have to add that class which I added a little before, named O underscore image O underscore Kanban underscore image. Okay, so let's add the div and add the class named O underscore Kanban underscore image. And inside this div, let's place our image tag. Okay, save and now refresh the page. Now see, these are looking so beautiful now. All the images have gotten a certain shape, like these images. Okay, so we have completed the first content. Now we have to work on these two content. So for this, I want to clarify one more thing. If we consider these two content inside another div, then it will be easier for us to align these contents. Okay, so I'm saying again, if we consider these two contents inside a different parent container like this, then it will be easier for us to align them side by side. Okay, so let's create another div after this O Kanban image. Let's create another div, and inside this we will be adding that two contents. One is this and the second one is this. So inside this div, this is the parent container. Inside this div, let's add two divs here. The first one is for the details and the second one is for that badge. Okay. Inside this div, let's add our name, ID and date of birth field. In here, simply we will add that field like we added in our list and form view. The name field, then what? The student ID field, and then the date of birth field. Okay, all right. Now if we save these, then what will happen? Let's see what happens. Let's refresh. See, we have got that name, ID and date of birth. But these are side by side. In a reference screenshot, they are one by one. They are in a column fashion. Okay. So for that, we have to add some breaks. If you know HTML, then you know what is this break tag. These are simply used to have some space between each element. If we save and refresh now, then see what happens. Well, now they are one by one after another. Okay. But if we go to our reference screenshot, this name is kind of a little bigger, a little bold than the other two texts. Okay. So for that, we have to add the strong tag wrapping this field. Okay. HTML strong tag, and inside this, place this name field. Okay. Now refresh the page and let's see what happens. See, now they are bold. So our image and details content are completed by now. Go to the reference screenshot again. So these two parts, image and details part is done. Now this badge content is yet to be completed. Okay. So now add this inside this second div. So these tags will be generated dynamically. Like one will be for a male record, and another will be for female record, and another will be for other type of gender record. Okay. So for that, we will use the T tag for adding some condition. T if record dot gender. As I have already mentioned before, if we want to get access the value of any fields of our models, then we will have to use this record object, and on that, using dot, we will get access the field, and on that, adding the raw underscore value attribute, we will get access to the exact value of that field. So if record.gender.raw value equals male, then we want to have a badge which will have a color of kind of greenish color. So this will be a p tag which will contain some classes, badge, and then rounded fill, which will give us the shape of a capsule like a thing. Okay, rounded fill, and bz-success for the greenish type of color, and text will be white, and for that we have to use the text white, and all of these are bootstrap classes. Okay, and inside this we will be add our text like mail. So this is the first condition. Now let's add the other two conditions. If the gender value is female, we want to add a yellowish color of badge. So it will be what? What class should we use here? Well, busy warning, and the text will be female. And for the other type of gender, we will be using a red color of badge. So busy danger and text will be white, and the inner text will be other. Now if we save and refresh the page, we have got an error. What's that? Well, cannot read properties of undefined reading raw underscore value. So what is happening here? Except the ID value, which is generated by Odoo itself, for all other fields, like we have used gender here, if we want to get access that field using record object, firstly we have to mention those fields inside the Kanban tag. Otherwise, we'll not get access those fields. Name, gender. Just we have to mention this field name here. Then if we use this record tag, then we will get access of that particular field. But for ID, we don't have to mention that, like we used in the image tag, we used the ID field. But as this is generated by Odoo itself, we don't have to mention that in the very first of the Kanban view. But for the other fields, we have to mention those. Now, if we save and refresh our page, see, we have got that badge. For female, it is yellowish. For male, it is greenish, and for other, it is kind of reddish kind of color. Okay, but if we go to our reference screenshot, this text and this badge are side by side. But in our case, we don't have that. They are one after another. For that, we have to use display flex. But why do we have to use the display flex? Well, inside the parent container. Okay, so for this text div and this badge div, which is the parent container? Well, this is the parent container for these two divs. Inside this, we will use the bootstraps display flex class, dflex. If we use that and refresh the page now, now they are side by side. But in the reference screenshot, there is a huge gap between these two things, these details and this badge. So for achieving this gap between these two divs, these details and this badge, we have to use another class which is justify content between. If you know CSS, then you know what is this. This class, this justify content between class, is for a flex container, and what it does, it aligns the child content of this flex container. So it aligns the first item at the very first of the container like this, and the second item at the very end of the container. So if we do this and save and refresh our page, then see they are now placed quite beautifully. This one is at the end and this one is at the start, but there is another problem here. There is a huge gap between this image and this details. If we go to our reference screenshot, there is not that huge gap. There is a gap but not that huge. So for that, let's inspect our page. What is happening there? See, this is the gap. If I hover my mouse in this div, so what is basically doing, this is adding a padding left. If we untick this padding left, now see that gap is gone. So what we have to do, we have to reduce that padding left. Okay, so go to our parent flex container and add a px2 bootstrap class. This is a bootstrap class which basically adds padding left to right horizontally. So we have added px2. Now if we refresh the page again, now see, this is exactly looking like our reference screenshot. So we have successfully completed the Kanban view and beautifully styled that Kanban view. And if we click on of these records here, we will be able to see the form view of that particular record like this. This is the tree view. Go to the Kanban view, click on a record, and this is the form view of that record. So that's it for today. Thanks for watching my video, and I will see you in the next one.